The first thing that really helped me when I was getting comfortable speaking up in meetings is realizing that it doesn't have to be this grandiose gesture that I start with. I often thought that I needed to ask this big question in order to sound smart so people didn't think I was stupid, and this whole cycle of thoughts kept on going on in my head. And I realized so quickly that no one's really fully, or very little chance is that someone's fully paying attention to what you are saying. You are your own biggest critic, and we put so much pressure on ourselves and judge ourselves so much more than we would judge others, which is really interesting. And once I came to that realization, I realized, you know what? Why not just start with small steps? So for me, what I did, which I was terrified of speaking up in meetings, so it took step after step. And what I did was I just unmuted myself and would do small things, such as if someone said something that I agreed with or that I was excited about, I would just comment on their statements. So, yeah, that sounds great, Mike or Thomas or Susan. I'm just making up these names now. But yeah, that sounds great, Susan. And that alone just was, okay, I can do that much. Okay, and just starting with really small steps of just even reiterating what someone said or reconfirming what someone said made me realize that, hey, maybe this speaking up thing isn't that scary. From there, I was able to start by asking smaller questions, questions that weren't, I knew were things I was seeing, but maybe weren't these massive questions. There were some times where I asked questions and I felt silly afterwards, but no one made me feel that way. It's more so because I realized, oh shoot, I actually do know that. But once again, most people aren't really paying attention to you as much as you think they are. Another thing I did when I was starting to contribute in meetings is decide how many times in a meeting I wanted to speak up. And I did this to hold myself accountable. Otherwise, I'd go into meetings saying, I do want to speak up to myself. I'd be like, hey Tiff, you gotta do this, you gotta speak up. But in turn, I'd get in the meeting and I would never speak up because it wasn't the right time, or I wanted to let other people speak. So what I did was I said to myself, okay, I promise in this meeting, I'm going to speak up at least twice. I'm going to ask 2 questions. And this does a few things. One thing it really does is make you pay attention into the meeting as to what is going on. And the other is it holds you accountable. And these questions can be very small questions again. Even sometimes what I would do is join meetings early so I could have a conversation, well, not early, but right on time. And usually very little people are right on time for a meeting. So it'd be me and maybe 1 or 2 other people while we're waiting for others to join. And during that time, it's a great way to unmute yourself, have a more personable conversation, and realize that, hey, maybe these people aren't as scary as they sometimes seem to be in our own minds. And this kind of brings me to my third tip, which is to speak early in meetings. I think it goes to the whole point of the longer you wait to speak up in meetings, the harder it becomes. And the more you're just like, okay, I'll start next time, next meeting I'll start. And you start making all these excuses for yourself that you wouldn't have done if you would have just spoke up earlier in meetings. And it kind of takes off the pressure versus you just start to think about speaking up in meetings so much, and then to the point that you actually work yourself up to not wanting to speak in a meeting. So speak up early in meetings is another great thing that really helped me. At the end of the day though, there is no secret formula or I wish I could say to you, if you do this and this, you'll become an excellent speaker in meetings. No, the reality is you just need to start small, step after step, put yourself out there, and once you realize that it's okay. No one's going to judge you or think of you as silly for asking, even silly questions. But at the end of the day, it's the worst thing you can do is not speak up. And when I realized that, I thought, okay, well, I'm not doing myself a favor here by not speaking up. So clearly I need to look at it from a different point of view and start speaking up. You have a lot to contribute. You have a lot to say. You're in the meeting for a reason. People want to hear from you, and you have a perspective that only you can bring to the table. And I really wanted to film this video and have a candid conversation about speaking up in meetings, because I think as technical people, we really struggle with speaking up in meetings even more so because we're scared that if we are asking a question that is technical or how to implement a solution or different things around a feature being built, whatever the case may be around your code, that fear is even more elevated to the next level because you are so worried about If you will look like you don't know what you're doing, will it show that your skills aren't very strong? And we put this added level of pressure on ourselves. But with a little bit of practice and just really taking small steps, believing in yourself, you will get there. I can tell you, if I was able to get there, you will too, because my face would turn red, my palms were sweaty. It was terrible. So I know you can get there, and my biggest piece of advice is just to start small, step by step. I'm curious to know though, what helps you speak up in meetings? Leave down below in the comments. I feel like I'm always willing or always wanting to learn from others about what their tips and tricks are. So leave in the comments, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for more coding and tech related videos, and I will see you all soon. Thanks everyone.